It's Niners Roundtable time. There's 4 of us, so it's like a square table today. I'm Grant Cohn, got Jack Hammer, Maverick Pallack, Jose Sanchez, and we have like 9 questions, and 5 of them roughly are about Jimmy Garoppolo because it's starting to look like he's coming back next year, and I'm excited because the way he hands that ball off is just fantastic, and he puts on a clinic every Sunday. And the little things are the things that I enjoy. I was a big bunter in high school when I played baseball. So I'm that kind of guy. Jimmy Garoppolo is my kind of quarterback. So let's get into Jimmy Garoppolo right now. Thanks, everyone, for coming. What do you guys make of this report that Jimmy Garoppolo's ankle injury is maybe more severe than we realized?
Well, imagine if it actually does have some substance, then why didn't they just get that surgery done in the first place? I think that would be my first, inclination, my first thought, because isn't that what they were talking about? Saying, hey, Jimmy can either have surgery because they're talking about how he worsened it, or it's a different part of the ankle that's injured now. So it's just like, it's a lot of variables here, a lot of tossing, a lot of like back and forth, like what's really going on with his ankle, man? And I don't think I'd put it past them that eventually that this report would end up becoming somewhat true. Because, you can never underestimate the 49ers with the injuries in the terms of how they're kind of like hiding things. Like Javon Kinlaw, how he had that surgery, that kind of appeared out of nowhere. So this report kind of appears out of nowhere. So I'm just going to be on the thought of, hey, if it's anywhere near truth, why didn't you get that surgery done in the first place? Maybe it would have behooved them to have done so. But I understand maybe they thought, oh, they had the playoff push and stuff like that. But, sometimes you got to take care of the player and the player first in this instance, which they didn't. So.
I just think it's interesting just a little because from week 12 on, we thought we kind of knew where the season was going. And I think we were all in agreement that Jimmy Garoppolo should not play the rest of the season if he was healthy, and to roll with Nick Mullins, and then at the end of the year, roll with CJ Beathard. So if the ankle could have been fixed with the surgery then, and he would have missed out on those last 2 weeks of practice, this is obviously speculation, but if he would have missed out on those last 2 weeks of practice, I think that would have been not so detrimental to the team.
Yeah, I think the only reason that they didn't move forward with the surgery is because they were going to look to possibly try to trade him. It's going to be hard. It would be hard to trade a guy that's coming off that's still recuperating from an ankle surgery and maybe not be able to go. So that could be the reason for them foregoing that and trying to move forward without it.
See, I was looking for that. That's what it's got to be. What it is, because it doesn't make any sense. I mean, a high ankle sprain is serious, but it shouldn't take more than 8 weeks to recover. They said 6 to 8 weeks. And then in January, which was like at least 9-10 weeks later, Jimmy says, yeah, still not 100% healthy, but it's progressing. And now this report comes out in February, and I don't know if it's true. The report was a little cryptic, but it makes it seem like the Niners are trying to trade Jimmy Garoppolo and failing because he's still hurt? Really? In February, like 3 months later. Well, isn't it time to have the surgery now? Like, you tried the other methods. Seems like it's not working. This surgery works. I don't know how much you guys know about it, but it's like every time someone at Alabama gets a high ankle sprain, they have this tightrope surgery and they're back 3 weeks later. So I just don't understand. Is the University of Alabama more technologically advanced than the 49ers? I don't understand what's going on. It doesn't seem like any high ankle sprain should take 3 months to recover, but maybe it has. I don't know.
Well, these are the questions I have. The University of Alabama has a city that likes them and lets them stay at home, so maybe that helps a little. But
maybe. But Jack, what you're saying makes a lot of sense. It's in the Niners' interest to not have the surgery because once he is under the knife, then the next it's hard to trade him, right?
Yeah, and that's assuming that report is correct,
right?
Because at this point you're looking at 7 more months before we're going. 6 more months before training camp even starts. There's plenty of time for him to get a surgery and be ready to go come August.
Ooh, good point. That's a good point. All right, let's stick with Jimmy G because he's the quarterback of the team that we covered. What's the best case scenario if the 49ers bring back Jimmy Garoppolo this upcoming season?
I think the best case is for him to come back and play like he did in 2019. I don't think he's really ever going to be anything more than what he was that season. We were all looking for. There was a lot of talk about him taking that second year jump under Shanahan, and really what we saw in the first week was exactly the same Jimmy Garoppolo he's been in the season opener throughout his career in that situation. In week 2, he kind of played like he's always played. So I think he is who he is. I don't think we're going to see a whole lot of improvement. He's 30 years old now, and he's been in the league for almost 8 years. So, to expect him to come in and play any better than what we saw in 2019, I think that's not likely.
Jack said it exactly. Just play like he did in 2019. The defense is good, and he plays his style of game. They have a good play action offense, and they can sneak into the NFC is going to be very competitive next year. But if Nick Bosa comes back like he was in 2019, the team will be one of the contenders in the NFC.
Best case 2019 as well, which is honestly, that's not best case in terms for the 49ers because that team was terrific all around. So if you're asking for that version of Jimmy G, I don't think they still get it done in 2021. But however, I will say, because I do not believe Jimmy Garoppolo is ever going to elevate his gameplay. I think ever since training camp, Grant, that we went to, one of the days, and I remember I wrote notes. I'm looking at here. I wrote Garoppolo continues to force throws to Taylor and Bourne, and he needs to unlock his vision, stop setting his sights predetermined on just one receiver. And it's the same thing you saw in 2019. Like I had hopes, or at least thought maybe he would take some type of jump. But once after those handful of training camps I went to with you, I thought, I don't think he ever improved at all. Now you would think he would, considering this is an off season, that he's able to improve upon himself. He's not focusing on any rehab or anything, which now look, he's focusing on rehabbing again, trying to get stronger. So if he couldn't do it on the offseason that he didn't get injured from, he's definitely capped at 2019, which is still going to be hard pressed to say he's going to get there because he might get injured again.
Yeah, the way I look at Jimmy Garoppolo, you saw all the reports that came out when the Rams got rid of Goff, all the things they didn't like about him. They finally said, they listed him, like his
even before the trade.
Yeah, his lack of mobility, his lack of football IQ, his lack of accountability, his lack of work ethic. I think that's Jimmy Garoppolo to a large extent, minus the lack of work ethic and accountability. But basically, the rest. I mean, the lack of mobility. I don't think he's that great. I think he's basically Jared Goff. Now, Goff won 9 games this year. He won 9. He's basically a winning quarterback. So I think when you bring back Jimmy Garoppolo, the best case is they're a wild card team, and maybe they win 1 playoff game. I think that's the best case scenario if Jimmy Garoppolo's back on this team. I think some people might feel like, no, he went to the Super Bowl once. Who's to say they can't do it again, or who's to say they can't win it? Me. I'm saying they're not going to win it with Jimmy Garoppolo next year. But best case, maybe 1 and done in the playoffs. Is that too pessimistic?
No, I think it's 100% true because literally this team is half of what it was in 2019 going into 2021, and they still don't have the free agency and draft still hasn't gone by. And even if they knock that out of the park, I don't think they even come close to that level.
Agree.
So playoffs are good though. I mean, I like playoffs. Playoffs. I like. Okay. What is going on here? Hold on. Did I have 2 on at the same time? Wait a second.
Oh my God.
This one, it doesn't have to. That's scrolling. Okay, now it's better. It has to scroll. Boom. All right. What's the worst case scenario if the 49ers bring back Jimmy Garoppolo?
The worst case scenario?
Yeah.
You mean what happened last season or 2018 again? Which can, you know what? If I was an odds maker, I would set that. Jimmy Garoppolo missing more than half the games, I'd probably set that at like even odds right there. That's how bad it is right there, dude. The fact that this guy has missed 3/4 of the games that he's been with the 49ers, and let's even throw in his career with the Patriots. The guy had a 4 or 5 game sample size and he got injured. There's no explaining it. Some players are just destined to get injured. It just is what it is. There's no explaining it. Maybe he, as a kid, used to like running under ladders, and that's why he can't get through this. I don't know. Maybe one day he saw a black cat and said, I'm going to punt that cat. And now he's screwed for the rest of his life. I don't know. But the worst case scenario, he's going to get injured. And unfortunately, the worst case scenario is more likely than the best case scenario that any of us just listed.
I'd say the worst case scenario is exactly what happened this season. They're good enough to kind of be in the playoff race, but not bad enough where they get a top 10 draft pick. And they're sitting in that 14 range where they don't have another opportunity to improve the quarterback position through the draft. And they don't make the playoffs, which I think is the goal, is to make the playoffs every year and then hope you can string together 3 to 4 wins. And if they get in that 6-win range, then that's probably the worst case scenario, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with what Jose said and Mav as well. The worst case scenario with bringing Garoppolo back is that he's not able to play. He just misses games so much, and it really kills you when your starting quarterback misses half the games in the season. So if they bring him back, you're just rolling the dice and hoping that he's able to stay healthy.
Okay, so I think we all agree worst case scenario is he gets hurt and misses time. But let me just extrapolate that. What happens? I mean, it happened this year. That's cool. It happened the year after a Super Bowl appearance. No harm, no foul, one off. It happens again. He gets hurt again. They have another losing season because they've made it clear that they can't win games with their backup. They've made it real clear. So he gets hurt again. They go 6-10 again, 4-12, 7-9. Now Kyle Shanahan's on the hot seat. He's not getting fired, but now he's on the hot seat because he's now had 4 losing seasons in 5 years. And he chose to bring back Jimmy Garoppolo when it's been painfully obvious that he'd like to move on for quite some time. So you don't get the Jimmy Garoppolo excuse anymore. This is worst case, I'm saying, worst case. Gets hurt, losing season, Shanahan on the hot seat, and now you get another situation kind of like 2019 where he makes a bunch of win-now moves to keep his job. He trades picks for a guy like D Ford, signs a dude coming off a torn ACL like Quan Alexander. This is what they did in 2019 because, believe it or not, I feel like they were on the hot seat at that point too. You can't have 3 losing seasons in a row starting your tenure. So yeah, worst case scenario is this upcoming losing season leads to a bunch of short-sighted moves. And maybe you like that. Maybe these Niner fans have been indoctrinated into the Rams way of building a roster and they want that kind of stuff. But I think that's what happens. Ultimately, the Niners make moves to keep their jobs if they have to in 2022 because of Jimmy. So that's the worst case scenario right there. Job security for the people in charge, even though they have the extensions. I don't know.
Security.
Well, that's why they're not moving on from him, right? Because he's their safety. He's their safety. Safety like their seatbelt,
scapegoat,
right? Yeah, he's just exactly scapegoat. Because if you get rid of him and whoever you bring in fails, you screwed up. You brought in Jimmy. You got rid of a guy that just took you to the Super Bowl 2 years ago,
right?
And so that's the main reason for them not moving on from him, I think.
Right. So you can just keep putting off replacing him. Because, well, you say it works, you say we win, it's true until it's absolutely painfully obvious that you don't, then you move on. It just extends your clock, right?
Yeah, in a lot of ways.
Survival.
They need to have him stay healthy and lose, really, in order for them to be able to move on from him without having the backlash that they're hoping not to get.
Well, and as you were saying with the hot seat, the ultimate leash extender for head coaches, is especially offensive head coaches, is drafting that young quarterback. So if they can delay that extender for another season, I think we're on different pages with Shanahan on potentially on the hot seat after this season, but that would extend the leash, in my opinion, if they did draft that guy in 2021 or 2022. Sorry.
Good point. And to Jack's point, what was I going to? Oh yeah. I mean, look what Goff did. It took 2 mediocre seasons from Goff before they moved on. Maybe same thing with, basically Goff got himself demoted. He got himself traded. Everyone in the world was like, Rams got to do something about that. So I guess at a certain point, it's not a decision the Niners have to make. It's just something that's obvious. Maybe they'll have to get to that. So,
but just kind of obvious.
To look forward to, Niner fans.
It's obvious. He's injury prone. At least Goff was healthy. This guy can't even get on the field. You can't even judge. You can't even judge his gameplay when he can't get on the field.
Well, maybe Andrew Luck will come to the Niners because maybe he looked at Michael Lynch and was like, "Wait a second, that's hold on, that's neither here nor there." Buy or sell the report that the Niners are interested in Aaron Rodgers. Now, this is part of the same tweet that said Jimmy Garoppolo's ankle was severe. The injury was more severe than, and the next sentence was BT dub, Niners interested in Aaron Rodgers, not sure if the Packers are interested in dealing him. So what do you think of this report? What are the implications?
Of course the 49ers are interested in Aaron Rodgers. They're interested in everybody. Everybody that people bring about, there's some kind of level of interest with the 49ers. And really the 49ers bring this upon themselves by not saying that Jimmy Garoppolo is their guy. They always beat around the bush when his name's brought up. So that's why we're dealing with all this whole quarterback situation and every free agent that comes about being mentioned as a potential replacement for the 49ers.
I totally buy they would be interested, as we've been saying for a while. If you're not improving, you're getting worse, you're regressing. And Aaron Rodgers had a great year this year, and they have a potential replacement on the roster already. So it's not out of the question that the 49ers or the Packers would want to move on. So I would totally buy it. I don't think they trade him this offseason, but why did the 49ers keep getting like weird drive-by in tweets about them or stuff? Didn't Mike Florio post something weird about him a couple weeks ago where there was just like a little drop at the end of one of his paragraphs about the 49ers? And now it was Rick Bucher, right? So the 49ers keep having funny tweets about them. It's weird.
have funny tweets about them because of their quarterback can't even stay on the bench because if he sits on it, he's going to get now his tailbone injured or somehow, some way. That's how injury prone this guy is. It's just the reality. They're going to be every rumor, whether concrete or not. That's because the guy cannot get healthy. So of course, interested. Everyone is interested in Mahomes except for the Chiefs. So everyone is interested in Rodgers except for the Chiefs. So, yes, is anything going to happen? No, because the 49ers are too scared to make any type of move. And it's not just for that. It's just, for Stafford, which I don't blame him for going in on Stafford. It's just for any other quarterback. I know we've all on here have talked about like Matt Ryan and stuff like that. I just don't think they're going to make those type of moves. So, yeah, they could be like, oh, yeah, we're interested. So, the fact that they didn't even like think about maybe going in on Brady, that who was a free agent, that was a risk to them. So, they play the conservative game. So, interest is the most that you'll get out of this team.
I'm not going to write this one off as so quickly. I'm going to make myself big so I can say this quick, like with. Yeah. All right, here we go.
All right.
I'm buying this report. I think the Niners have serious interest in Aaron Rodgers because, of course, they should. And from what Bucher said is basically Green Bay is not going to move him this offseason. They just went to the NFC Championship with him. They're not going to move him. Fine. They're going to move him next year. That's the way I read this with Aaron Rodgers. As soon as they drafted Jordan Love, I saw 2022 as the breakup date. I thought maybe it could be accelerated to 2021 if Rodgers was really upset because they didn't win the Super Bowl or even make it there. And it almost happened. He was talking about that beautiful mystery, yada, yada, yada. Probably one more year in Green Bay, but eventually they're going to have to move that guy in his super expensive contract. And I think if the Niners do run it back one more year with Jimmy G in his ankle, then next year, Rodgers would be the best quarterback available, and they would be in position. If they run it back with Jimmy G, Aaron Rodgers becomes a possibility. I think it could happen. I really do. So something to keep in mind, the back of your mind. Aaron Rodgers to the Niners in 2022. And if it doesn't happen, then think about Aaron Rodgers to the Niners in 2023. And if that doesn't happen, then maybe Aaron Rodgers to the Niners in 2020. One of these years, we might see it. I'm excited.
Well, he has the potential out in 2022. So that makes that.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So then Jimmy G for 2021. Yeah. And then.
See, Maverick's on board. Who else? Who's coming with me?
Hey, but did you guys know that Aaron Rodgers grew up a 49ers fan? I just found that out recently.
He's from Northern California. All right, we got a couple questions real quick that I want to hit real quick, and we'll get back to our topics. First one is from Braden. He says 2 firsts, 2 seconds, Eric Armstead and Jimmy Ward for Deshaun Watson. I don't know if that would get it done, but I'm going to have a counter offer, and then you guys go around one by one and say which one you prefer. This one or Bosa and Kittle for Watson?
Bosa
Straight up, no picks.
Bosa and Kittle.
Okay, give me one reason why.
Bosa and Kittle, you get to keep the capital because, first of all, Bosa and Kittle, that's going to be a removal from the salary cap, so you don't want to be in the same situation the Texans was in where they couldn't use that money to build resources, get the adequate players to surround him, and at least now you get more options in terms of draft capital to bring in younger talent to develop and build around Watson for the future.
I don't see why the Texans would take the Bosa and Kittle deal. Yeah, they get Nick Bosa, who's a generational talent. I think a lot of people think, but I think they want draft picks and also defensive players. So they would take Bosa, but they would need a couple picks. I think the trade here offered is more ideal for the 49ers because they would, one, get rid of Eric Armstead's contract and keep Nick Bosa, but also 2 firsts and 2 seconds. We've seen the first round picks are important, but getting a top 5 quarterback, which I believe Watson is, and could be a top 3 quarterback with Kyle Shanahan, I think that would definitely be the way to go.
Yeah, of the two options, I'm going to go with the 2 firsts, 2 seconds, Armstead and Ward, because that, if you get rid of Kittle, you're losing one of your best weapons on offense. There's no way that I'm going to be moving Nick Bosa for the next 2 years. I'm going to run out his rookie deal until we get that 5th-year option, and then trade him similar to the way that they did with Buckner. So I would go with the first, the second. Plus, if you look at the 49ers' history with their draft picks in the first round, they haven't been very good, so they're not really losing a whole lot there either.
I'm trading players. I don't trust either of those 2 guys to stay healthy long term. Sorry, Nick. Sorry, George. I'm just betting against him, but I have no crystal ball. I'd rather have Deshaun Watson in the picks than Kittle and Bosa. So I love Kittle and Bosa. The reason I'm throwing their names out there is because I have questions about their long-term durability, and each one arguably is worth multiple firsts. I mean, Bosa might be worth the 2nd pick in the draft plus. Kittle might be worth a top 10 pick plus. So if that's what you're working with, you might get pretty close. But then again, maybe Houston's more interested in picks. Next comment from David Velez, who really had a lot to say, and this is very interesting. Jimmy G's injury was much worse than reported. Here's how I know. Initial diagnosis was made on an x-ray. It means the sprain was so bad that the bones of the lower leg had moved. Normal high ankle sprains are only seen on an MRI. Now, if you don't know what a high ankle sprain is, essentially there is a tendon that holds together the fibula and the tibula, and it either gets stretched or it snaps. And those two bones become compromised. So what he's saying is if they could tell in the x-ray, maybe it was really, really severe. I'm not a doctor. I don't know. I don't have to say that I'm not a doctor, but I don't really know. I just think, David, thank you so much for bringing this to our attention. Anyone have any thoughts, concerns?
Where's my scrubs? Like I put my scrubs on if I got to talk about this.
It's interesting. It is interesting.
No, it is. That's why I was mentioning with that report. It's like maybe the 49ers were withholding some information. Maybe
all I know is that Raheem Mostert said it's from what he understood, it's more than just a high ankle sprain. He said that on the record in December. So I don't know what he meant by that. Mm-hmm. Thank you, David. I will look into it. I am a reporter. I will do the best that I can, but I'm not a great reporter. So let me try. Hold on. Next one's from Black Kiza. Should the Niners draft a quarterback as a safety net if in the event of possibly Jimmy getting injured? If so, who? I mean, yeah. I think should the Niners draft a quarterback as a safety net? I mean, can I say hell yes? Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely.
Hell yeah. In the words of Stone Cold.
The only question is how late should they wait?
Yeah, that is a question, isn't it? Like it's first. I mean, get whoever's there. Whoever falls. If someone's like 12, second. I mean, it's always tough to tell, especially since right now the offseason hasn't even technically started yet. I mean,
yeah, I'd say quarterback in round 2. How do the Niners get out of the D Ford situation? Jack, do you understand how this is working? It seems like if they cut him before he can pass a physical, it's different than if they cut him after he passes a physical or something like that.
Well, he definitely has the physical. The physical is definitely a part of it. They've got to make sure that he can pass a physical because otherwise his contract gets guaranteed. He has an injury guarantee on that. So that's part of it. The second thing to think about, and I just finished writing an article on this that should be posting pretty soon, is that they can move away from him either with just a regular cut or a June 1st cut. If they do the June 1st cut, they're going to save about $16 million on their cap for next year, which is a big number. The bad part about doing that is that money they can't utilize that money until after June 1st. It stays on their books until that point as part of their top 51, which is how they the cap number during the offseason there. So that's one of the bad parts of doing it. The other bad part of doing a June 1st cut is that the dead money gets spread out over the remainder of the contract. So in Ford's case, that would be about a little under $4.4 million in dead cap that they'd carry for the next 3 years. So, and we don't really see the 49ers do that very often. Most of the time they just do an outright release. And so if they do that, they're still going to save about $5 million in cap room and have a little bit higher, the $14 million in dead cap for 2021. But it gets them out of that for the future.
So if they wait till June 1st, they free up another $9 million, you're saying, on the cap?
Yes.
Okay, then.
Well, thank you. I really have I had no idea. Jack, thank you for looking that up. That answers that question. So look for D Ford to be cut after June. But what the implication of that is they can't create cap space by cutting him for another 5 months.
Right. They can technically say, as soon as at any point that they're going to re-releasing him with the June 1st designation.
Sure.
But and then he can go out and start negotiating with our teams if he's going to play. But they can't use that cap savings until after June 1st because it still sits on the books.
Got it. Thank you. I hate cap stuff, man.
Yeah.
Okay, that was really very helpful. Zoro's Rage says, "Are you going to review some film of lower name potential late draft quarterbacks like Ellinger? Anyone watch Oz back in the day on HBO? Never mind. Newman, Franks.
Never mind.
Yes. When we get closer to the draft, Jack and I will do some stuff. We're getting to the big names right now, All right, let's get back to the questions. Thank you for your questions. Which 49ers player benefits most from this offseason and why? Take this however you want to. Jose, you start us off because it's your question. I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Okay. You don't know what I'm talking about? I don't know.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Just kidding. Go ahead. Worry about your cheating on trivia. But anyways, yeah. So pretty much.
Sorry, what was that? What? My bad. Oh, my bad. Sorry, that was my bad. Sorry, keep going.
Exactly. See, look, there you go. Come on, Tony Reali. Fake. You can't even dress like him. All right. Hold on. We're on a roast session. I can't wait till we have the roast of Grant Cohn. I'm gonna win that.
Yeah, that'll be good.
But yeah, so as the season was unwinding, it's like, man, who's one player that could easily they really need the offseason, just they need the reset button. For me last year, that was Ahkello Witherspoon. This year, it's Mike McGlinchey. Now I know you could say, obviously it needs to be a player who was injured, like a Nick Bosa. They need that to get healthy. Yeah, that's a cop out. But what about someone that played and regressed? Mike McGlinchey, to me, is someone who will benefit the most from the offseason because this guy just needed to unplug. That last week, that presser, Grant, what was that? The first time he went to a press conference with us in 2 months or something like that? And he started unwinding and talking about it hurt me. It hurt me hearing the critics and on Twitter. It's like, dude, how are you going to criticize armchair quarterbacks, but then you're going to take it to heart? They're just armchair quarterbacks, but you're still going to it just was mind-boggling that a captain, an NFL, a top 10 draft pick was saying this. But hey, that's fine. That's his own shtick. That's his own problems, whatever issues he has. But this is why I'm just saying he needed that off season, mainly mentally. Just forget about it. Bury the 2020 in the past. Just use those emotions of losing. And if you really want to poach more, then just get mad again about the critics and just actually use it to fuel, but don't actually engage in it because you're supposed to be a captain. He wasn't holding himself accountable all season long. He just kept saying, I was playing okay. I was playing all right. Come on, man. Your teammates can see you getting put on your butt by a DB. You weren't playing all right. So to me, it's just he needs this offseason so much more than any other 49ers player to unwind, to get better physically, correct his technique, do whatever you can. And that way, flip the page 21. And it wouldn't surprise me if early on, he just starts trucking everyone, just run blocking even better than he has been, even though he already is a good one, but just holding his own pass pro. So that's what I mean by that.
Hard to follow that up with the McGlinchey hot takes, but I would say George Kittle benefits from this offseason just because last offseason there was a contract question. There was questions going into that of him versus Kelsey, who's better. And then this offseason, he gets to fully recover from those injuries and just focus on winning next year and staying healthy and proving that he is one of the top 2 best tight ends in the NFL. I think everyone knows he is a top 2 guy, but he needs that healthy season. I think he can do that this offseason.
Yeah, for me, I'm going to take the easy road. I'm going to say a couple different things. I'm going to say first off that I think everybody really needs to benefit from this offseason. They really needed by the time the season finished, they all just kind of needed a break and get themselves kind of regrouped. But more to the question, I'm still not going to pinpoint a single person. I'm going to say really the guys that were rookies in 2020 are going to be the ones that are going to benefit the most from this offseason, are going to need to, because they didn't get the opportunity to come in and work with the 49ers strength and conditioning staff during the offseason while they're getting ready. So, if they can do that this season, getting ready for 2021, I think we'll see big jumps, hopefully, from guys like Kinlaw and Ayuk was pretty good last year, but, have him, take another step and so on with that rookie group. I think that those are the guys who could benefit the most this offseason.
Yeah, I mean, if the Niners can have an actual offseason program where the trainers get to be with the players and the strength and conditioning staff, I think all the offensive linemen will benefit because all those guys look like malnourished last season. Whatever they were doing on their own just didn't work. So they could use some structure, the offensive linemen. But in another way, I feel like Jimmy Garoppolo is really benefiting from the offseason because if they were still alive, if they were still a topic, if he still had to do press conferences, people be asking a lot of questions like, what is going on with you? And now he can kind of just go back to, I don't know where he hangs out, Chicago, and just chill and live underground for a while. And I don't know, not answer questions. I feel like this is a good time for him because he's becoming the center of discussion out here in the Bay Area. And where is he? It's like Willy Wonka in this chocolate factory. He just shut it down. You guys didn't appreciate him. So he's hanging out with the Oompa Loompas right now. We'll see if he comes out in the fall. I don't know. It just seems like it's a really convenient time for Jimmy Garoppolo to be out of sight and out of mind. So Jimmy
can't wait.
My answer for every question today is Jimmy. The answer is Jimmy G. Moving on. Are the Niners the worst team in the NFC West following this Matthew Stafford trade?
Yeah, I'll take this one first. I think they are. I think they're right back where they were. You know, there's a lot of focus on the fact that they definitely have the worst of the starting quarterbacks in the NFC West. But if you look past that and you look at the team moving into 2021, there's just so many questions. You can't really say that they're anything more than that. You know, people point a lot to the weapons, but you look at the weapons that they have on offense, and Mostert can't stay healthy. Deebo Samuel can't stay healthy. George Kittle can't stay healthy. So, you know, to say that they're anything more than that at this point really is wishing.
I think they're better than the Cardinals because I think Kyle Shanahan is that much better than Cliff Kingsbury that it brings down the quarterback discrepancy. And the 49ers have the most cap space of the 4 teams in the division. And they probably have the best outlook because of where their draft pick is and what they can do with that. If they do improve the positions they need to improve. So I'm not saying they'll be the best team in the division after this offseason, but I think they have the most room for improvement, especially because Seattle and LA have pretty much made their moves and are where they are now. So really it's just Arizona. And the only way Arizona can improve is if they made a very late coaching change. So I think the 49ers have the most room for improvement, but are not the worst in the division.
Yeah, I'm with Maverick. I think it's still the Cardinals because of, you know, you have a joke of a coaching staff with Cliff Kingsbury. You got, what's his name? Vance Joseph? Oh, God, that guy is atrocious. This is the way they don't even know how to use any of their players. You know, if it's literally just Kyler Murray, Hopkins, that they just rely off their talent alone, and Kingsbury to a degree kind of caps them. So it's still them because I still think Kyle's a great coach. D'Amico Ryan's still yet to be seen, but I would like to have some faith that he's somewhere close. That's not that close to Robert Saleh, but like he still keep that defense like relatively like strong still, teetering top 10. So I still think it's the Cardinals, but the 49ers are not far away from them, to be honest, just because exactly what all you two mentioned about the injuries, and then there's still question marks of what they're going to do to fill in the other holes around the area, like interior, you know, the tackle position, what they're going to do. It's still a lot of questions. You know, it's still the Cardinals, but they're not that far away from them.
All right, it's the Niners, and I'm going to say something that maybe will make you guys upset, but I believe the Cardinals are closer to being the best team in this division than the worst team in this division. Now, I understand that they have I don't like their coach either, but put the coach to the side for a second. This is a team that ranked 6th in offense and 13th in defense last season. They got this Kyler Murray kid who's as talented as any quarterback in the league. And the way I look at the situation around the league with these uber talented quarterbacks on rookie deals, a lot of time year 3, there's a super team to surround him. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Cardinals improve their roster more this offseason. Remember, they have a cheap quarterback. He's not as cheap as a guy who was the 13th pick. First pick isn't exactly it's not super cheap, but it's not expensive either. I think the Cardinals could take a big leap. The Rams and Seahawks are extremely solid. And if the Niners bring back Jimmy Garoppolo, you're just waiting for the next injury. So, yeah, I think the Niners are the worst team in the division. I don't know what they can do about it.
I like the Cardinals too, like you. I was saying that last season. I said the 49ers were going to be defending champions. I thought the Cardinals were going to be their most threatening opponent versus the Rams and the Seahawks. And week 1, it was looking good for a second. But after just another season, just watching them fumble towards the end, they couldn't make the playoffs. I thought they were going to make the playoffs. It's just Kingsbury, man, and Vance Joseph. These guys, like, there's just no faith in them. It's hard. Like, I know that talent's great, and I definitely can see that being like, hey, maybe they are closer to getting especially long-term wise, because the Rams are more so this year and next year. But Kingsbury and Joseph.
What I'm saying is I think they're getting better in terms of the talent that they're going to be putting on that roster. And then the Niners, I think they've been getting worse since the Super Bowl. Now, if certain players stay healthier, then they get better. But I don't think they're going to I don't think this roster is going to be better this year than it even was last year. I mean, they'll be lucky to keep Jason Verrett and Trent Wood. How is this roster going to be better on paper than it was week 1 last year? Is that a fair question? Just with health? Health.
Yeah.
Well, it's going under the impression that Nick Bosa can cover up the lackluster defensive backs, and I guess that would be week 3. Is it better? But
again, I mean, this team was all healthy except for what? Debo and Ayuk week 1, and they lost to Arizona. I don't know. We'll see.
I think one big thing with Arizona though is Hassan Reddick is a free agent, and that'll be a big loss for edge rusher and Marcus Golden as well. And then Patrick Peterson wasn't great this year, but he was the leader of their secondary. So it's pretty much just going to be Isaiah Simmons in the back half of the defense, and they need Chandler Jones to come back healthy. I'm just not convinced their defense will be. I think their defense is probably going to be one of the bottom of the league unless they can get a full 16 games from Chandler Jones, and he can be defensive player of the year level like he has been in the past.
I just don't see Arizona being in like actual salary cap hell with a quarterback on a rookie deal. Like they should be able to work it out. I don't know. Who are their bad contracts?
I'll go to it right now. They're
Is it Kenyon Drake a bad contract kind of?
Kenyon Drake is a free agent this offseason. And then
really?
And they're getting Larry Fitzgerald off the books, but Chandler Jones is $20 million on the cap. DJ Humphries is $19 million. DeAndre Hopkins is 12. Jordan Phillips, the defense tackle, is 12. Justin Pugh, the guard, is another 11.1.
They're in good standing.
Alford, the cornerback, is another 9. And then it's a bunch of $9 million guys after that. But they Buda Baker pretty cheap, so that's still good for him right there.
I see what you're saying. All right, we got a new question from Tommy. Look, I'm trying. I'm giving him moral support. 49ers First Take says, why do I have a feeling we start next season with the same exact 3 quarterbacks? Is Kyle's ego to blame? And will the 2020 injury excuse be the reason? I don't. Does anyone think CJ's coming back? I don't.
No.
I think if they get rid of Mullins and Garoppolo, there's a chance CJ Beathard would be the third stringer just because like consistency in the system. They have one guy that's done it before. But if Mullins or Garoppolo comes back, then I think that pushes Beathard out.
Yeah, I think they're going to Jack, you're muted.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. I don't think they're coming back with the same 3 guys. Somebody's going to be there's going to be an odd man out of that group, especially with Beathard and Mullins both being free agents this year.
I think it's going to be Beathard, and the pessimist in me says they're going to replace Beathard with another guy who's like the 104th pick in the draft, right at that same spot, 3rd round comp.
Yeah.
Why not just bring? The funny thing is, I don't feel like Rosen's coming back either. I really just think they saw him like, it was just emergency. It wasn't really a project.
Can they keep him on the practice squad?
Rosen is exclusive rights free agent coming up, so they could bring him back.
Could they keep him on the practice squad?
He's exclusive? Okay.
Yeah, they could bring him back on a pretty cheap deal if they choose to.
Yeah. I'd like to see him in training camp. And what about Josh Johnson? Did they give him a futures deal?
Yeah. I think so.
Oh, so maybe they won't. Maybe they won't draft a quarterback this year. Man, I'll be so happy. That'd be so exciting. I would love it.
Well, if they're replacing CJ, you have to just look for the toughest guy in college football. So you automatically have to go to the Big Ten and then just look for what Big Ten guys are available. So that's Tanner Morgan, I think, for the Minnesota guys. So then, boom, toughest guy. That's your new CJ Beathard.
Hey, you jest, but watch when the Niners take him with the.
I'm not joking. Watch.
I'm not sure.
I'm not joking. Yeah, that's the truth. Matt H says, is Jimmy capable of having a stick it to the man revenge season as Rodgers just had with the Love draft? Is his confidence shattered?
No.
I mean, he's just not as good as Aaron Rodgers. I don't think it's a confidence thing. It's a talent thing. It's a goodness thing.
Grant, how many times did Jimmy in his exit presser says, I can't wait to attack this offseason or something?
Attack it.
Can't wait to attack this offseason. I'm just ready, baby.
Woo! It's like his agent told him, like, hey, Jimmy, you're going to say you're going to attack the offseason. And he was like, okay, I got it. And he just said it over and over and over and over again. I liked it. He was executing. He was just executing the game plan, guys.
To me, it was like he also got a little like sensitive about maybe like he heard the criticisms or that criticism was funneled through Kyle, and Kyle was blunt because Kyle's blunt with these players. You know, we all know that. And he probably told him, look, Jimmy, you're not healthy. You know, there's so much with your game you need to improve on. And it's like he took that offense to that. And maybe they told him straight up, hey, look, we're gonna explore options if we can. Or I feel like there's something he knows about that. That's why he was just like, he wouldn't stop repeating, I can't wait to attack this offseason along those lines. Versus last year's exit presser, after losing the Super Bowl, he didn't have nothing to say about that. And he just kept reiterating it. At this past one, when he wasn't healthy, it kind of like was an eyebrow raiser to me.
Jack, what is that code for? I can't wait to attack the offseason. I'm not going to get surgery. I'm healthy. Come trade for me.
That's what I take out of it, is that he's just going to try to work harder and make himself better and come back and be able to.
I'm available. Trade for me. I'm not going to be on under the knife. Get me out of San Francisco for the love of God.
I kind of heard that too. It's just like, hey, I'm just ready to attack this office. Whoever's coming for me, what's up? I'm going to attack.
When he was at the Super Bowl in Miami, I went up to, they have, you were there, Jose. It's just like these scrums. These players, Yeah, the players answer questions like for an hour every day, and it's like they're just bombarded. So I finally got to ask Jimmy a question. I hit him from the side. I was like, Jimmy, when you first got the news that you've been traded from New England to the Niners, was it a little bit of a come down at first? And he goes, well, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I was like, yeah, of course, right? Like, I think he's had enough. Came here, he tried, he won a lot of games. People don't like him. Like, all right, man, I'm out. Can I go back to New England now, please? I don't know. That's the way I look at it. All right, Niners' biggest draft need pre-free agency. Yeah,
this one, there's just so many of them. You know, you look at the 49ers right now, and you're looking, okay, you can go interior offensive linemen, you know, at center or guard. They definitely need a corner. And definitely, you know, quarterback would be another one. Edge rusher as well. So, you know, out of that group of positions, I think for the 49ers, they really need to find a center. That's the position that they need to go after the most, because they can move. They have Brunskill already, and I think he's going to be capable of playing and starting a guard and holding his own there. But they need to find somebody in the middle that can really solidify the rest of the offensive line that they can build around.
I definitely think they do need an interior offensive lineman. That's my number one need. Maybe not necessarily the first round. Slater's one of my favorite guys in the draft, and if he's there at 12, I would jump at that because he gives you versatility. He's projected as a guard and center, and he played tackle, so that'd be great. But if they have to go back, I think there's a lot more centers, so that would be the thing they have to address. But they need to sign and draft interior offensive linemen. I'm not a fan of anyone in the interior offensive line. Lake and Tomlinson and Brunskill, I think, provide the most upside, but they do need to improve that group.
Yeah, I really think it's interior offensive lineman, but just to go against the grain, how about cornerback? You know, it's just something like Grant advocated for last season, and CJ Henderson looked great. So I think it's time, like, maybe you got to really sit there and consider we need a good cornerback, because we saw what one lockdown type in Jason Verrett could do. We got stop undervaluing it. You know, it's time to really get someone that you could be like, hey, we have this guy. We don't have to worry about no more free agencies, no more shelling out. Well, not like they shelled out for Richard Sherman, but no more dipping our hands too heavily in free agency, because now they don't really have the luxury to do so much, especially with the cap the way it is now, and so many other players they got to take care of. So maybe that's somewhere they look from, someone that falls at 12 or whoever it is. But cornerback for sure, given how many free agents they have right now.
Yeah, I mean, I can see the argument for interior offensive line because it's pitiful. I mean, right tackle's pitiful too, but it seems like maybe this is kind of a trick question, because it's like, what is the most important thing they need to take with the 12th pick before we know what they do in free agency? And like, yeah, interior offensive line is important, but usually you wouldn't take an interior offensive lineman with the 12th pick just because of positional value, unless he's just, you know, Quentin Nelson or a future Hall of Famer that you feel that's how you grade him. Otherwise, I feel like the Niners, I don't see how they pass on a corner at pick 12. If Patrick Surtain is there, I don't see how they pass on him, because him, Horn, the dude from Virginia Tech all look like Pro Bowl corners. I don't see how the Niners are in a position to pass on something like that at such a crucial position. Such a crucial position. So I'm going to say cornerback is the biggest need, biggest draft need pre-free agency, in the sense that that's what they should target at pick 12, even if they re-sign Jason Verrett. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
What, Jack?
No, I was just going to say, if they go that direction, then that's a perfect situation for them to even, you know, trade back a spot or two, like they did last year. Because I think all those guys you mentioned are probably going to be, if they're there at 12, they're going to probably be there. One of those guys is going to be available between 13 and 18 as well.
Good call. Cheap interior offensive lineman the Niners should target in free agency.
Center, we're talking about that right now. How about Alex Mack? That familiarity, he should be a free agent. That's someone they can look for. I mean, I doubt maybe he's going to be able to command much in the offseason, you know, his age, you know, potential injury history. And maybe with 49ers, hey, what's up, Kyle? Remember me? And Kyle's like, hey, I remember you. Come on down. So you give him that. I know who's that player you like again? His name, Jack, from the Packers. I know he's a good one. He'd be a great one to bring on. But yeah, you know, in terms of like too expensive, and I know it's cheap, but Mac, why not? How much is he really going to cost? Like more than $4 million? I mean, it's going to be very interesting to see how much his value is going to be. I just think that it'll just be in terms of fit, and you just really look like who does that system, or who could Kyle be connected to, and I just think Mac makes the most sense.
Mm-hmm. I have a few guys. This is what I'm writing about right now. My top guy for under $2 million. I went really cheap with these. So these are really under $3 million, which they paid Tom Compton 2.75. So if they're willing to pay Tom Compton 2.75, they should get these guys who have performed better than Compton for a similar price. And one is DJ Fluker, who played for Baltimore this year, and he's a guard tackle. He played tackle when Ronnie Stanley went down, and he performed pretty much what he has his whole career. And he's 6'5", 342, and he's a mauler, and that would be an interesting compliment to Mike McGlinchey, who I think we all think is a little undersized, and get a guy that's a big run mauler and just run behind that right side every single time. That'd be an interesting time, especially pair Kittle over there. It'd be hard to stop a stretch to the right side. And then the other guys I have are just look at the Chargers interior line. They underperformed, but also the Chargers had injuries at tackle. So give a 1-year deal to Dan Feeney or Forrest Lamp. I think they would both provide a decent upgrade over McKivitz for a cheap deal, and Ryan Groy, their backup interior lineman, who is $950,000, and he'd be an upgrade over Hronis Grasu and be that backup center guard, and I think that would be worth it as well. He was good when he was with the Bills.
Yeah, I'm right there with Mav, with Dan Feeney out of from the Chargers. That's the name that I wrote down to be to look at him as a right guard. He'd be a good one there. Jose mentioned the other one that I had, which was Lindsley, and I wrote about that a while ago. But I don't think he's going to be a guy that you're going to look at as far as a cheap interior offensive lineman. He's looking at probably his value is about 9.7 based off of what Spotrac had him at. So he's going to probably be a little high. If you're looking at center, there's really not a whole lot out there when it comes to free agency. So they might almost be best off if they're going to do that. Wanted to go that route to go with somebody like Garland and bring him back as far as at the center spot.
Okay, I got a radical name. You guys haven't probably thought about this guy in years.
Radical, man.
He was a Niner, and the Niners gave up on him, and he ended up having a nice little career in Dallas. His name is Joe Looney. Yeah. He's only 31. Over the cap has him at like 2.4 million 1 year, 2 million contract. Bring back Joe Looney to the Silicon Valley. He can play center. Started a lot of games at center the last few years. He can play guard. He's mediocre. I don't know. What do you guys think, Joe Looney?
I was debating on putting Joe Looney in my article, but I didn't because I knew you were going to say him later. I want to give you all the credit for that one.
All right, let's do our Super Bowl prediction. Who's going to win this game and why?
All right, I'm going with Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is going to win this game. It's going to be similar to that to the Super Bowl when Elway finally overcame the Packers and won the Super Bowl for the first time. Andy Reid, I think, might have been on that staff at that point with Green Bay. So I just have a feeling, if you also look at it right now, Kansas City's really I think they're going to struggle with their tackles. They've got a couple of guys that aren't very good that are having to play because of injuries. So I'm going to go Tampa Bay, and I think it's going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of about, I'll say 21-20 or 27-20.
Okay.
Totally agree with the offensive line issues with Kansas City. They're on their fourth string left tackle, and I think fourth string right tackle. Remmers, who was their starting right tackle, had to move over to left tackle. And I don't think he has many career starts. He's mostly being a right side guy. So that'll be interesting with Shaq Barrett and Jason Pierre-Paul. But I think the Chiefs still win just because I think it's really hard to defend Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. You can take one away, but one you can't really cover in man defense, and the other you can't really cover in zone defense. So I think it's just going to be a hard game for Todd Bowles. And we saw him struggle earlier this year with Tyreek Hill. I think they're going to try and take Hill away, and that will open up Kelce. And I think the Chiefs win. I'd say probably 37-24. I think it's a 2-score game.
Yeah, I think initially it's going to start off, at least in the first quarter, it's going to be like a huge defensive battle. Then it's just going to open up because Todd Bowles and Spagnuolo, when you give them that time to really study your defense, it becomes really tight-knit. So it's really going to be very, very tight. But I still think I'm going to go with the Chiefs. I just can't go against Patrick Mahomes. I can't go against how they look, as much as the Bucs are a really great team. And, it's always hard to say no against Brady in the Super Bowl. But I just think it's time. It's time for the old man to pass the mantle down, give it to Mahomes. He's got State Farm. He already overtook Aaron Rodgers in the commercials. So, and plus, I think from a narrative standpoint, from a storytelling, it just sounds more great. The NFL really has to prop up their future, and it's Mahomes. And as much as Brady has been the cash cow for them, he's already in it. He already did his part. Now, prop up the future with Mahomes and plant the seeds for the future. I just think it's going to be I think it's going to be a close game. No one's going to blow each other out. I could see it being like a weird 2 or 3 score game, like a 28, 25. I don't know, somewhere around that range, but it's just hard for me not to go and pick the Chiefs.
See, these teams played each other late November 29th. They played in Tampa. This is a home game for Tampa. They played each other, and Kansas City won. They won by 3. And in that game, Tyreek Hill went for he had 13 catches for 263 yards and 3 touchdowns. Travis Kelce had 8 catches. So they had 21 catches between them. They won by 3. They also had left tackle Eric Fisher in that game, won by 3. Now Fisher's out. Schwartz has been out. That right guard, Duvernay Tardif, that was playing against the Niners, been out. I would imagine that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to have a better plan to defend Kelce and Hill, and that they won't catch 21 passes. Also, there's a 30% chance of rain in Tampa, which could affect the passing game a little bit. I'm going with Tampa as well. It was a very, very close game just a couple of months ago. Now you give Brady a second chance. You give Bowles a second chance. I think Bowles is fantastic, and I think Tampa's going to win by about Jack's score. I would say about 27-20. Remember, the Chiefs didn't look that great against the Niners last year. They scored 10 points about halfway through the fourth quarter. That's all they had. I think the Bucs are gonna finish the deal that the Niners couldn't close. I think the Bucs are gonna do it. So, Jack, I'm right there with you.
Can I counter that or no?
Absolutely not.
No.
You can. Yeah.
Well, I just remember that game that the Chiefs got out to a really big lead. I think it was 27-10 at one point, and then they kind of took the foot off the gas, and the Buccaneers came back. And if they're taking the foot off the gas in the Super Bowl, I don't know what they're doing. They should be going out and trying to win outright. And I think the Bucs have to come out hot like the 49ers did last season, taking an early lead. I don't think Tampa can fall behind and come back like they did earlier this season. So they better have that game script, that first 12 plays. They need that to go off right for Tampa.
Yeah, I just don't think Todd Bowles is going to let Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce go for 350 yards again. But maybe he will. And if he does, Chiefs are definitely going to win that thing. So
one other thing that's different, another thing that's different is that Mahomes isn't moving the way that he was back in November either with that hurt foot. You got the injured foot, you've got the injured tackles. Vita Vea is coming back now. He'll be playing on Sunday. So there's a lot of reasons that they can give the Chiefs fits.
That being said, the Chiefs are the favorites. Maverick, you're not crazy for picking them. You're just wrong. So it's okay. All right.
I never pick against Mahomes ever. So
that was my basically logic last year, picking the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl. But the Niners didn't have Brady. Had they had Brady, I might have picked them, but they didn't have Brady. All right. Jimmy Garoppolo's biggest strength. Let's finish off with Jimmy because we haven't talked about him yet today. What is Jimmy Garoppolo's biggest strength as a quarterback? And then we'll go around and do his biggest weakness after. Strength first, though. We got to do positivity because I'm a positive person. You go first. What's funny? Jose? Am I making you laugh? Am I a clown? Am I here for your amusement?
You are a clown. Quality clown Grant Cohn. That's what you are.
Right.
His biggest strength? Shoot, what is his biggest strength? I don't know anymore. If you'd asked me in 2018, I'd be like, he's just great at hitting his players in stride. But after this season, some of the games he played this season, it's like, wow, he had something that I thought was biggest strength was not there. His biggest strength is he knows how to smile when things look bad. He really knows how to just put that smile on. Just when we were talking to him, asking the negative questions, even in a loss, he just smiles. And it's just, if it rains, it's always sunny in Jimmy's head. So I don't know what his biggest strength is anymore.
Jose doesn't know. He left the question blank.
I think his biggest strength, and it might just be media talk, like players talking to the media, but I think that people believe in him. I know a lot of people have changed, but I think his players believe in him, and not necessarily that he's going to win every single game, but that they could easily just go the Jared Goff route and write him off. And I think a lot of players didn't like playing with Jared Goff, and they haven't liked playing with other players in the past. But it seems like George Kittle would totally be thrilled to have him back. And it seems like Raheem Mostert would like to have him back. And that might be an arguable thing that they could definitely improve. And I think they could improve the position. But I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo coming back makes the Niners have the worst quarterback situation in the NFL. It's not like they'd be top 15, but he's still a top 25 quarterback in my opinion. And I think that would still be fine. I think people believe in him.
They say that because they have to, Maverick, because they had you as a quarterback all season. So
Yeah.
they're like, all right, well, we can do worse.
Yeah, and that shows just having him over.
It's window dressing.
Like people say he's just a backup quarterback, but there's an obvious gap. I think Grant will argue the salary difference, and that's a big point. The salary difference is a big thing, but I think he's an upgrade over Mullins, and I think people.
Of course, this is hyperbole because you got quality control Grant over here.
Putting words in my mouth over here, man. That's okay. No, that's fine.
Well, I didn't say you automatically win a Super Bowl if he's back. I just think people believe in him, and maybe it's the way he looks, and he looks like a Spartan warrior that you want to fall in a battle or whatever. But
he smiles when it's bad. That's why he can still put on a smile when it's bad. It's like, hey,
you need that. You need that.
Money gambling.
Yeah.
Can we let Jack go now? It's Jack's turn.
Never.
He's the one that muted himself. No,
Well, I agree with Mav. I think that's really the biggest strength of Garoppolo is that everybody believes in him. You know, he people believe the players believe in him. They believe that they always have a chance to win as long as he's in the game. And you know that's really the biggest thing that he brings to the table for the 49ers and for whatever team he plays for in the future.
You guys are so condescending. John Lynch too. When they asked John Lynch what makes Jimmy Garoppolo good, he says it's the it factor. That is so condescending. He's an athlete. There's not one physical thing that he does. That's so rude, guys. You guys are rude. Jimmy Garoppolo executes the best handoffs I have ever seen.
Gonna say that.
How can you not give him credit? The way that he extends the ball, plus the fakes. Are you kidding? Oh, are you kidding? The handoffs plus the fakes are elite. I've never seen a quarterback execute, and he gets credit for that. Would the Niners' run game be half the run game without his handoffs? I don't think so. Is there a reason why the run game doesn't execute as well when he's not? Yes, because of his handoffs. So anyone that gets him is getting not just a handoff specialist, but a handoff master, a handoff black belt. And I think he deserves. It's about time that he gets some credit. My goodness. All right.
Grant, he'd probably be superb at being a waiter, like say Olive Garden, the way he'll hand off those breadsticks to you, those are going to be the best.
The attention to detail, seriously, they're just perfect. They're perfect handoffs. And no one wants to give a quarterback credit for that, but he does. The ball doesn't hand itself off, Jose. All right?
And you cannot discount his ability to dance and do pirouettes in the pocket. That cannot be discounted either.
He just
what does he do? What does he do again?
They say they're a rhythm quarterback. He's a rhythm quarterback.
No, don't do that. No, because people are going to meme that, and Jack and I are going to be on screen for it. I don't want to be on
it. All right, now that we just gave Jimmy Garoppolo his props, what is his biggest weakness as a quarterback?
Didn't we already do that?
Okay, that's our show. Thanks so much for coming, everyone. It's been a pleasure. All right, that's Maverick's answer. Jose.
So go to Jack. I can't take this serious right now.
I know that. I know I've kind of lost it here myself, but no, his biggest weakness. I mean, we talked about it earlier. His biggest weakness is just staying on the darn field.
Yeah,
be able to stay healthy. And if you want to get into really big details beyond that, is his ability to really throw beyond the first read on a regular basis.
And beyond 20 yards down the field and outside the numbers and move. But other than that, no, hold on. I'm putting words in your mouth. Maverick, did you? No, you went already. Jose.
Oh, I don't.
No, Maverick, go.
I'm just going to end on that because yours is great. Yours is the best answer. But
no, he gets. No. Maverick, go ahead. He has something to say. I can see it in his eyes.
All I was going to say is that I think Jimmy G's biggest weakness is that injuries have kept him from improving. I think some of the things we perceive as weaknesses would have improved, maybe not tenfold, but a little bit if he had more rhythm and was able to play 16 games consistently. But the injuries have prohibited that. So
he has rhythm. Don't you see the way he tap dances? He reminds me of that South Park episode of Butters tap dancing. That's how much he like tap dancing.
That's a good episode. And Butters was a good tap dancer, for the record. What's his biggest weakness?
Yes, his biggest weakness. Come on, how can you not say it's his injury? His injury, how prone he is. I know it's a cop out, but it's just I can't nitpick any of his gameplay because he can't get on the freaking field. In the words of Grant Cohn, Jimmy freaking Garoppolo cannot get to the freaking field. So I can't even do that. And the way the way Maverick said, well, it's because the injury kind of keeps him from improving. He just had an offseason where he could have improved. And I'm watching him in training camp. I'm like, Jimmy looks the same. And I'm someone who is advocating, look, a second year in the full system, all that stuff like that. You know, he finally gets to work on it. And he's making me look wrong. That's why I've moved off him, because I can't even, not only does he's not capable of doing it, but I still can't even see it because the guy does not know how to stay on the field, because probably when he was 13 years old, he ran a 40-yard dash under a ladder. And that's why I think he probably did, why he gets all this bad look.
No, I mean, look, durability that's bad, but I think his biggest weakness is that he's just too good looking. I think he's just it's a burden. That he has to go through life with that face and that bone structure and that symmetry. It's too much.
So what you're saying is he needs to be the next Zoolander.
Yeah, he's too sexy for his shirt. So sexy it hurts, and that pain has led to him. No, seriously. I mean, here's the thing with him. I never played football, so if you guys did, tell me if I'm wrong. But basically, football is not a very glamorous sport. It's a painful sport. And what it is how much pain can you tolerate? How much pain can you play through? Am I wrong? Is that pretty much the essence of what football is? Kind of.
There's definitely an aspect of that.
That's what it's like. It should be called paintball, right? Like, they don't have that. It's not like that in baseball. It's not like that in soccer. You're playing hurt. It's paintball. And how much can you deal with? And it seems like a lot of time in the NFL that I've covered these athletes, a lot of these players have a pain threshold, and it's inversely related to the size of their bank account. They play through whatever to get that check, and then they get it. And then it's like, man, I got $85 million in the bank. Do I want to play through this? No, that hurts. I'm not going to play. That's the way I look at it, and I'm not in their bodies. It just seems to me that I'm beginning to question Jimmy Garoppolo's love of the pain, because it sucks. And I know that. But at a certain point, you got to love it like Tom Brady and Drew Brees, or you got to be like, man, this is not for me. I can't keep myself healthy. This sucks. Because it does suck. It seems to me that football basically sucks, and you either love it for some odd reason or you don't. And I'm wondering with Jimmy, that's my biggest weakness with him is the love of the game. When you have to question that about a guy, I think that's bad. So next year, if he could come back and put that behind him and play through whatever, I respect it.
Didn't he kind of try? I respect it. He did.
That's all I'm saying.
He did try it this year, coming back from the Miami game.
Hey, I'm just questioning. I don't know. I'm not accusing. I'm just questioning. Maybe it's not fair, but I don't care. I'm sorry. You're all right, fair man. Yeah, accusing.
What you just said is exactly why Andrew Luck left, right? Because you got tired of having to rehab all the time. Yes. So, you know, it's what they deal with. It's what you have to, especially if you're a quarterback and you're getting hit as much as.
Yeah, who am I to judge? I didn't even play freshman football. It's a lot of pound. It's years and years and years of hits. That's the thing. Like, it's not just the hits. Well, for a quarterback, it's just the hits on Sunday. But for other players, it's practice too, and that sucks even more. So it's a lot of suckage in football. I played baseball. It was, I don't know. I wasn't that good at that either. Grant, a bit late to the show. Did you see the Bears have inquired about Garoppolo? No. Did they?
What?
No. Did they? No.
Yeah, there was something on Twitter.
Was it Dan Saleo?
That
guy's at the root of everything. He also said the Niners and Teddy and the Panthers were talking about a deal, a 1-for-1 swap, Jimmy G for Teddy B. You like that?
I've been saying that for months, but
all right, we'll talk about it then.
I have with you. I think he's the same as
right now
Garoppolo, but I think he provides the same thing as Jimmy Garoppolo, but he's more mobile. So, and he also has an easy out of his contract. If you get him this year and he doesn't work out, you can cut him and have very minimal dead cap. So it's not like it's the game changer. You get a top 12 guy like Stafford, but you still have a top 25 guy, in my opinion, and he is able to run when an outside offensive lineman misses a block.
Yeah, but does he have the it factor? Can he hand the ball off like Jimmy? I don't think so.
Adrian Peterson broke the rushing record with him at quarterback, didn't he? So,
hey, Jack, is it crazy? Jimmy for Teddy, straight up? Jimmy G, Teddy B? They kind of sound the same.
I think so. I was just looking it up real quick. The rumor is, so this is from on Twitter from NFL Rumors and Updates. Larry Krueger had retweeted, which I think is why it's being caught in the
nice.
but he said that the Bears have called the check availability on 49ers Jimmy Garoppolo. Now, for me, I'm good on that as long as they send they go ahead and they sign their guy. What's the quarterback's name out there in Chicago? I forgot now. It's been so long since they played a game.
Mitchell Trubisky.
Yeah. They go ahead and re-sign Trubisky on a low-term deal. We'll do a swap with you.
Yeah, I like that. They had to call the Niners to find out if of course Jimmy Garoppolo's available. I could have told you that. You had to call them? Come on, just Google it. Is Jimmy Garoppolo available? Yes. Ask Jeeves could have told you that Jimmy Garoppolo's available. Who is that? Who is the GM in Chicago? If they trade for Jimmy Garoppolo, oh my God. First of all, I feel really bad for Jimmy at that point. I don't feel bad for him yet, but at that point, I would feel bad for Jimmy. That's just no one
makes a lot of money. I don't feel bad for him.
No one deserves to play quarterback for the Chicago Bears. That's just terrible.
On the Bridgewater thing, I don't think there's any reason for Carolina to want to move off of him. I think they're going to want to keep him for another year because they're going to get a quarterback there in the top of the first round. They're going to want to have sit behind him for a year.
But maybe they want a quarterback with that it factor, Jack. He's got the it.
He's got the it or the itch.
I like that, Jack. And on that, I think we should wrap it up. We went for a full hour today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. And I don't think the show was as funny as we made it, as much as we laughed, but I liked it. I enjoyed it. And Jimmy, if you were watching, I think you enjoyed it too. So we'll be back tomorrow with trivia. Mav, eager to see what you got for was it a Super Bowl edition?
Yeah, there'll be a Super Bowl category.
Nice. All right, guys. See you tomorrow.
Nice guys shoot again.
How dare you?